Hi everyone, welcome to the Platinum Girl Celebrity Show where I give love advice to the stars and the everyday woman. I am your host, Vanessa Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. Most of you know, I've said it lots of times before, that I am a coach for the book The Rules, Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider. And this week I want to cover what's known as exceptions to the rules. And what this means is, in their book, they say something general, like if you chase a man, it'll essentially chase him away. Now, the authors tempered this advice by saying, of course, there are exceptions to the rules. I mean, we all know that story where the woman pursued the man, and of course, they're still living happily ever after. But for 99% of us in the world, it's not working out that way. Most women who are chasing men are really coming up short, and hence the need for them writing the book in the first place. So what happened this week was a client contacted me and was in communication with the man. It didn't work out. The communication fell off, but she ended up being in his area on a business trip and contacted him so that they could get together. So they get together and everything seems to be going really well, but then after she left, she hadn't heard back from him. So she contacted me and asked, was there a way for her to be able to get the relationship back on track? Or I shouldn't even say back on track, I should say even maybe just off the ground. But I let her know, listen, there's no way. This guy was never interested in you in the first place. So what she said to me is I want to be an exception to the rules. And I told her I don't like that. Quite frankly, I don't like that. I do acknowledge that there are exceptions to the rules, but it's not something that I want for my clients. It's not something that I want for myself. And because I know that you can have a rules relationship without needing to have that exception in there, that's what I think that, if you're going to follow the book, that you should strive for. So that's just a little bit of advice on exceptions to the rules. Try to stay on the roadmap that is available, that they lay out in the book for you, and then you won't have to, come to anybody and ask them for advice on how you can go ahead and not be an exception. So exceptions are no good. You want to stay on the roadmap. Okay, so moving on to the celebrity discussion. Yay! So big news this week, which was really shocking to me, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't, was Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. So I wrote this in my blog post yesterday that apparently they're still seeing each other. Now, there hasn't been much proof of this. I've seen Rob leaving her place a couple of times in the car, but it's not anything where they're obviously making any red carpet appearances. So one of the reasons why I still believe that this could be true is because there's just always history with these two. They always seem like there's going to be something going on with them. So I thought that, obviously it's possible that they could still be seeing each other. But here's the kicker. So in the beginning of their relationship, Kristen was the it girl. She was the girl that, Rob was chasing around, absolutely had to have her. But then after the whole cheating scandal happened with Rupert Sanders, and all of a sudden she's turned into this, oh gosh, Rob, will you please stay with me? Please give me another chance, etc. And she's essentially begging him to stay in her life, and worse, they're sleeping together. So what's happening here is that she's no longer this it girl. She's the girl who is telling him, yeah, it's okay if we have sex, but you don't have to worry about publicly acknowledging me because I understand that you don't want your reputation to take a hit. No. I don't care if Kristen slept with his brother. I don't even know if he has a brother, but I don't care if Kristen slept with his brother or what she did. No more. There should be absolutely no more of this. I'm going to be your doormat and you can go ahead and sleep with me and then not have to worry about actually having any type of relationship with me. Look, I understand that what she did with Rupert was wrong, but she's already apologized. She's already said it numerous times. There's nothing more for her to say. If Rob had said something to me like, well, I just don't know if I can trust you because you cheated on me, I'd be like, okay, well, call me if you can ever get over it. Because I'm not going to sleep with a man just so that I can, in a sense, punish myself and think that if he doesn't trust me, well, then I deserve it. When you make a mistake, you don't dig yourself even deeper into the hole. What you do is you find a way to get out of it and get your self-esteem back intact. Sleeping with a man like that, it's not going to happen. You're just going to end up feeling worse about yourself because you're going to feel like you've lost everything. So that's my advice. If you end up screwing up like that with a man where you cheat and you can't seem to get the relationship back on track with the guy, you got to take your lumps and move on and just promise that you'll never do it again. Okay, so on to the next one. Let's talk about Rihanna and Drake. So I know that for most of you who read the post, you saw that I said that Rihanna and Drake were seeing each other, but it's really not like they're seeing each other. From what I read, they're going to strip clubs together. I don't even understand how those words could come out of somebody's mouth. Let's go to a strip club for a date. But anyway, so apparently what they're doing is they're going out on dates to strip clubs. Meanwhile, all of Drake's reps are saying they're not seeing each other. If you're hearing that, that's something that you're hearing from Rihanna's camp. It's not coming from Drake's camp. If anything, he's seeing Zoe Kravitz, who, by the way, is not going to strip clubs with him. So this is another thing that I was, wanting to talk about is if you are having a hard time connecting with a man outside of sex, you need to find a way to do it without having to, just go to strip clubs with him or sleeping with him too soon. Pick up a newspaper, get to school, do something productive, and find a way to have a conversation with him. Now, you might be really smart, and the guy just only wants to talk about sex, and if that's the case, move on. Cut it off and absolutely move on. Maybe he just doesn't see you for some reason or another. He doesn't see you as a woman outside of anything that's just sex and feels that he can't have a conversation with you. However, that doesn't mean that you succumb to it. You have to make sure that you keep your boundaries. If you hate the words hard to get, then use it interchangeably with the word boundaries so that way, your self-esteem is not plummeting. You have to make sure that you take care of your heart. Okay, so last thing that I want to cover in detail is the one about Eva Longoria and the It Girl. Now, I know that a lot of my clients have come to me and said, I hear all of these other women who are essentially breaking rules. They have the most exciting love life, though. I feel like nothing is going on for me. It's so typical. It's something that happens all of the time. Like, I feel like I hear stories from women who have the most exciting love lives in the world, where they're out on yachts with married men, going over by his house during the week and, having sex in his pool, and it's just, there's always going to be some amount of women out there who are having, it seems like, way more fun than you are. But when you take a closer look at these relationships, you'll start to see that the guy doesn't really have to have them. He's not asking her out for Saturday night dates. He's not driving to her. He's not, holding her hand, telling her how pretty she is, and, making sure that he lets her know that she's going to be his future wife. He doesn't really seem to care about her very much. So always make sure, whenever you're starting to feel jealous of somebody else's relationship or another woman's relationship with a man, run it past the rules test and see whether it's something that is even going to make it within, make it to the next 3 months, or if she's ever going to make it down the aisle. Because once you do that and you really take a close look, you'll be like, really shouldn't be jealous at all because this woman doesn't have much. I'm going to keep on doing the rules and then wait for that great guy to come along and make sure that when I have him, that he has to have me. So that's my final portion of advice for the big one. Also, another exciting part was that I did give a Platinum Girl status this week to a particular gossip girl, but I'll let you all go to the blog and check that out. I don't even really have anything to say about it because she did it so well that when you end up doing the rules really well, you don't have much, there's not much for me to actually talk about. So go ahead and check the blog out so that you can take a look and see who the girl was who got the Platinum Girl Celebrity title. All right, so that's about it for this week. Go ahead and keep up with my blog during the week, www.platinumgirlcelebrityblog.com. And then here is the rules, their latest book, Not Your Mother's Rules, by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider. Again, I base a lot of my advice off of this. And then my book, Text Love Power, which answers all those questions about texting and dating with men. And hopefully you liked my video. If so, please give it a click for a thumbs up. And if you really liked it, I hope that you can share it. And other than that, I will see you next week. And thank you so much for joining me from sunny California. I'm your host, Vanessa Taylor. Take care, everyone. Bye.